Who used to tune into the live stream Fridays, right?
Yeah.
From New York.
Every Friday.
Now you're here, so you can get in there, and you speak Spanish, right?
Yeah, I speak Spanish.
So we can do some Spanish if it's out there. What's up, guys? I'm gonna pull up. Can you pull the stream up on YouTube? Or yeah, YouTube, and look at the questions that are coming through.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do Periscope right here. So if you guys got any questions today, we just thought we'd do some Q&A. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, whatever works best for you. Oop. It's loading.
Yeah, no questions yet.
We got, what's up, Brent? What's up, man? That was you? Was that you? Was that really you? Yeah. little jelly? Gelly? Sorry, I said jelly. Thoughts on weighted ball training, Francis?
Detrimental. Not good for your arm. Too much stress on the elbow. No need for that. Get 3 to 4 miles per hour, but do it at your own risk. You'll probably get hurt doing it.
So the 6-week study by Mike Reinold through ASMI found that there was 15 guys who did a high intent. This is a high intent weighted ball approach. 15 guys did just a regular baseball approach. Out of those 15 guys that did the high intent weighted ball approach, about 30% had serious injury, surgery, labrum, Tommy John, stuff like that. The guys that did the baseball didn't have any injury. They followed them for another year or two and continued to have injury. It was still up to 30% injury. That's that 30% injury rate on the weighted ball side, not the baseball side. So there is one study looking at it as health and being a concern. I even wonder if they're ever going to be able to do that study again, because now it's an ethics issue. Can we do a study where we've already seen kids ending their careers or seriously being hurt, and then it comes down to an ethics issue? Can we even do that study again? So it's one of those things. I don't even know if we'll get another study on that. If you look at kind of some of the things that occurred in the study, pitchers gained a lot more external rotation with the weighted balls, and that's a concern because it happened very quickly, and you don't want to gain a lot of external rotation really quickly because then you get concerns of joint laxity, stability. I always put it this way: you do want your arm to lay back, but if you can't stabilize back there, you don't want it to lay back. So it's something where I don't really want to force external rotation. External rotation should be something that is happening naturally with good forward trunk mechanics. As your trunk goes forward, your arm wants to lay back and allow it to move forward. That's when it will more naturally want to happen just with a 5-ounce baseball. And as long as you're addressing the rest of the kinetic chain, right? The goal is really making sure we understand the kinetic chain and its process and not just overloading one aspect of it. Typical Instagram, a lot of questions here.
We got some questions on YouTube as well.
Okay, you want to throw one out, Francis? What question you got?
Flight 714. Can I expect to make gains in velocity and endurance in the in-season part of the program?
It's not something I want you to expect to get your gains in your in-season programming, but it is something that you definitely can. Not everybody, though. I remember Cody Hall coming back after a pro season, doing the in-season stuff and coming back better than when he left for the fall. Now that was also his first fall, so he only had about 2.5 months here, so yeah, he should have continued to get better. But I wouldn't expect it because those guys sometimes will avoid the off-season aspect of our training and try to just use this in-season and force gains, and that's not the best way to do it. What do you think, Francis?
I think more or less in season is to keep the gains that you grinded for in the summer. You don't really want to lose that in season. It's tough to gain weight in season.
Basically maintain, right?
Yeah.
I keep getting bicep strain and supraspinatus soreness after pitching. So basically what's happening is your arm is going across your body so hard that your biceps having to decelerate and your arms being yanked across, and your supraspinatus is getting yanked in the process. So a lot of arm. You're pulling across your body more than likely. You're stopping your trunk early. You're forcing internal rotation. All things that are you're trying to overcompensate at the end of the chain, and those are wear and tear issues. So basically your mechanics, along with the volume of throwing and the intensity on throwing, is a problem for you. So you need to fix that. A doctor would say, well, just bring down your volume. Okay, that's fine, but that doesn't fix the intensity, or he'll say both. Bring down your intensity and your volume. Okay, that fixes that issue, but doesn't fix the mechanics issue, or the strength issue, or the power issue that doesn't allow you to have better mechanics. So you really got to get out of season and work on your mechanics like we do here. I mean, like, we've all experienced wear and tear. I mean, I've had a serious injury. You've never had a serious injury, have you?
I kind of had a serious.
What was it?
I had a partial tear in high school.
Okay, with labor?
No,
UCL. Okay. And he has a lot of joint laxity, and he still has ulnar irritation. And what do you think helps you?
Getting
that?
Stronger. Every time I go to the doctors, they'll tell you to take 2 months, 3 months off. You find yourself at a huge disadvantage because now you're losing weight, you're losing strength that you worked so hard for, and you still have the injury. So I think that you getting stronger is what solves
And
a
it
lot of the
typically
issues.
comes back, right?
Yeah, it comes back.
Right. If you haven't fixed the problem, it comes back. How long does it take to fix my mechanics with weighted balls? Is that Williams? That is totally Matt Williams. Very good, Matt. Yeah, that's a good question. Does weighted balls fix your mechanics? No, it doesn't fix your mechanics because no tool fixes your mechanics, right? You actually have to understand what you have to do better to improve your mechanics, right? So if you don't understand what good mechanics are you ever going to fix your mechanics?
No shot.
So you should never expect a tool to do all the work for you, right? All right. Good question, Matt.
We got a question here. Baseball Man 99. What are some methods you guys use to improve hip extension and internal rotation mobility?
So any mobility exercise you find online that will just help apply some resistance there, so stretching, bandage stretching, whatever. And then strengthening. Is that hip flexor tight? Is it tight? Is it tight because your glutes are weak? Is it tight because you're weak in your hip flexors or you're internal rotated? So more than likely there's something. Yeah.
What app?
So keep answering that.
So I think a lot of times when you're getting hurt in a specific area, it isn't that specific area that got hurt. So I'm experiencing a little bit of lower back pain, but it's because I have a weak core, or I've gotten lockjaw before, but more or less I went to a masseuse, and masseuse told me that lockjaw is connected to having tight hips. So really you just need to focus on not having any muscular imbalances and really lifting in every aspect that you can.
There's some Spanish on here too. But I think you're just saying hello.
Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está? R. De La Cruz 99. Let me see what they're saying here. What are your thoughts on spinal engine mechanics for hitting? You gotta answer that one, Brent.
Spinal what?
Spinal engine mechanics for hitting.
Engine mechanics?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know what he's talking about. Can I figure out what engine mechanics is?
Let me search it up.
Spinal engine? We'll go to the next question. How about go to the next question?
Why is my rotator cuff sore after back squatting?
Rotator cuff sore after back squatting? Where is he sore?
Where are you sure? How do you get momentum going down the mound properly? So I say going down the mound properly, you don't want to get too rotational. You want to get linear. You want to be able to hold torsion with this knee, so you could go linear, and you'll see when you're not getting into torsion, you get a little bit rotational. You're not going to be able to drive off the mound effectively. So I think you'd go about it by getting your hips out, staying closed, and keeping torsion and getting out in front.
So squatting, rotator cuff, I mean, if you're really jammed up, So maybe you need to just open your arms up and not be so jammed up here. But also, I would say your upper body's pretty weak, would you say?
Yeah.
Tucker Hughes, what's up, Tucker? My guy is coming soon. Y'all better push him until he breaks down. Dude is gifted. Mac Pearson. Heck yeah, I'm excited for him.
The dude that's sore in his rotator cuff said posterior shoulder.
So it's probably just because of that pinching back there. Maybe you're
Probably
just,
not mobile enough.
but you're weak too. You're probably weak back there. Coach Linsky, what are your thoughts on the inverted W? So, you know, the inverted W's here, I typically find guys that are really slow out of their leg lifts because we're all breaking our hands out of their leg lifts. Because they're slow, they're like waiting to cock the arm or turn everything over when they land. And it's taking so long, they're like, hurry up, right? So that's a guy, if you pushed him down the mound, he wouldn't have time to get over his elbow, over his shoulders. Now there is theories that if specifically your throwing elbow is above your shoulder when you land, and then you're late to cock, it puts way more torque on your arm. And they found that when they tested that theory, it was more, in one study, it was more early trunk rotating that was the problem. So basically early trunk rotating is pulling your glove this way early as opposed to being abducted and internally rotated. The point is when you create a real late arm cocking while you're rotating your shoulder, it's detrimental to your arm. So they're saying early trunk rotating has a better chance of doing that than a high abducted arm slide internally rotated has to doing that. Because you could have guys that separate well here because they're not early trunk rotating, and they still have time to get their arm cocked before they go in rotation. So I'm more against early trunk rotating than inverted W's, because if you look at pitchers that I'm not supposed to say, but you look at the famous closer who stands like this, right? I'm not supposed to say his name, but when he cocks his arm, he's like already in a pretty high elbow position, and you know he's never had. He's been doing it for a while. I mean, I've seen there's other pitchers, the old closer for Houston, little guy, lefty guy. I can't probably say his name either. Those guys did pretty well with it. So I think it's more the guys that are early trunk rotators that want to pull their gloves before they land and fly their trunks over them before the arms cock. I think those guys are way more susceptible to injury than inverted W guys.
And I think a lot of guys have good mechanics, and some coaches don't know what they're really talking about. And they say they have an inverted W, and in reality they'll have good mechanics, and now they're switching up their good mechanics, and now the trunk's flying open, now they're opening up.
I think the inverted W is making a good point. It's just when you look at the science of it all, it's more has to do with the arm, what's called hyperangulating or dragging behind the back, because the trunk pulled early or the arm was late, but it's usually because the trunk pulled early. So that's really the way to put it. There's a better chance you're going to open your trunk early than cock your arm late when it comes to injury, which makes sense. Because there's guys that are late to cock their arm, but their trunks don't go early. But most guys who pull early, they're late to get their arms up, and then they drag their arms. So that's why I think it happens more consistent. He just texted me last night. He's pumped. That's awesome, Tucker. So are we. Glad to have him down. Thanks for the referral, dude. How do you get momentum going down the mound properly? So
I told him to stay linear, stay closed.
yeah, we talk about holding torsion because what this is holding external rotation in the back leg, because what you're doing is preventing it to rotate. The earlier that knee goes down, that's when you start rotating. You shut your momentum off. So learning to come out of leg lift and holding torsion allows you to kick all this linear momentum because you're not trying to open up and rotate. So that's a key piece to it. Also understanding come into your leg lifts that your hips are inside drive leg. You're not in that traditional balance position. You know, nothing's really going anywhere. You're already inside your drive leg. You got a good fall going, and you're holding torsion. All that stuff really helps. How do you get momentum down the way? We already showed that. Hey, Tucker's on Instagram too. What's up?
What should the glove sides do during the pitching delivery? I say stay closed as much as you can.
Yeah, if you look at one of our guys like Cody Hall, which you can see on topvelocity.net, when he lands, boom, he's still here because he's so good at counter rotation with the trunk. When he goes to drive, he's still here. He's definitely not in early trunk rotating. That's where you want to be. Throwing weighted balls is like putting a bomb on your UCL, basically, bro, in the most straightforward way possible. Brent, how using the back less? How using the back less? I don't know what that means. My son's high school coach uses the MPA arm care program. What do you think about it? I followed House when I was young, and I always really believe in hip shoulder separation. As far as their weighted ball approach, I don't know enough about it. I think I like their holds better than most weighted ball approaches. So it's probably one of my. I'd probably support that definitely more than some of the other high intent max effort ones. Why should the arm supinate or turn over when we throw? That would be pronate. And should I do it with off-speed pitches? So, your arm should naturally pronate because when you throw and your arm lays back or externally rotates, that's a stretch, and the shortening is going to force internal rotations. Just like in the forearm, when the arm lays back, the hand supinates, you resist supination. And because there's a stretch there, the shortening would be forcing pronations because you're trying to resist supination just like you're resisting external rotation, and then should fire there. Typically, I'll see pitches that are held in a more supinated wrist position like a breaking ball. You're just delaying pronation. You're still pronating. But there's methods like Dr. Marshall's methods where even through Neiman Nix where they can teach a pronated pitch, and I would not be the one to define that. They would be the ones to better understand that, is learning the pronated pitch.
Pronation, once your arm pronates, that's when it's protecting.
Yeah, so basically when the arm pronates, the ulnar and the radius cross, and it compresses the joint. So it quickly puts stability in the elbow and helps relieve a lot of the stress from the valgus position, external rotation. So it's something that you want to do as early as you can for the safety of your elbow. And like I said, there's some coaches that are teaching, that have taught breaking pitches in a pronated position, not as much in a supinated position. They would be better experts on that than me. Love the LTD harness. Get my guys into the right positions without the fear of falling. Thanks, Coach. Coach Linsky, the man in Houston. Go down to Houston, get with Coach Linsky. The arm pronates when you throw to protect your elbow.
What is the youngest age group you would recommend for your med ball program? I say any age group, but med ball is healthy for you. You can do it all day with your arm small. Yeah, and we go, if the kids are feeling any type of pressure because it's heavy, we'll do a 1 pound ball as opposed to 2, which is really all we do. We'll do a 1 pound ball, and then we'll do basketball. If it's too much, you can do a basketball. So anybody, any age can do it. How should your arm rotation look while pitching? So this is the arm half pitching. A lot of guys like to know this. You're going to break your hands. You want to stay in flexion because that's where your arm's going to rotate better in flexion. You want to stay somewhere just to flexion. If it goes too far, then the arm's going to have a hard time rotating. If it's more straight in flexion, have a good time rotating. Okay. We're going to pinch it behind our back to really delay it from the hips or get the end of the chain farther back. We're going to abduct it so when we rotate, it comes up. It doesn't sit down, which is more valgus stress. Okay. And then when we land, we're going to start cocking it into 90 degrees. 90 degrees is here. So we want to get somewhere 45 to 53 when we land. So then once we land and our hips are open, now it's 90. And then when we go into shoulder rotation, it continues to come up, say 90 to 100 degrees, and it lays back into maximum external rotation. And then our trunk pushes out, which the reason our trunk can push out now is because the arm is laying back. And then as the trunk energy pushes, or as the kinetic energy comes up the trunk, it'll push the arm into extension as we release the pitch, and from a supinated to pronated position. And then after we release the pitch, it'll pronate, go a little bit more back into 90 flexion and internally rotate. That's the movements of it. I think a lot of times we find ourselves distracted on arm path. In reality, we get the lower half corrected and the kinetic chain, your arm path. Your arm will just follow up and it'll land in the spots that it needs to be.
This is Nelson saying this. King Nelson, that's his, right?
Yeah.
So he's the one who said the bomb. So he said
Oh.
weighted balls is like getting liposuction instead of going to the gym. Go with Nelson. Nelson, what you were here, man? Francis needs a partner, right?
Yeah, man. I need a partner. I need that intensity.
Yep. Gary wants you down here too. What to do? Spanish. What's that? Oh, that's Nelson calling Spanish.
What to do si tu brazo está en el piso? He said, what do you do if your arm's on the ground after you throw?
Exercises to strengthen rotator cuff. So we are going to do light dumbbell with basically rotation movements, because all your rotation movements, internal and external rotation, is guided by your small rotator cuff muscles, and we want to stay light, because if we get too heavy, we want more of the big muscles to kick in, so we'll stay light there. Then we might do some tubing there, but then that's not enough. We got to get into the shoulder capsule. We got to work on the delts, the pecs, the lats, the levator scaps, the serratus anteriors, all those things. And that's when we're going to get heavier. We're going to go into pressing, pulling, pushing, holding, mobilizing in those positions. That's how you really build a strong rotator cuff shoulder capsule. How do you prevent just the back knee turning and adding that extra push? So the back knee is going to really collapse for two reasons. If you push the knee inside the foot, so if you're keeping the knee outside the foot in a little torsion, now you're in a good stable position, and all you have to do is prevent flying open. If I fly open, it's more likely going to pull it out of that position. So keep the knee more over the foot or outside as you move forward. Keep the femur turned out, and try to keep the front side closed till the last minute before you open. We break that down in the online course. It's a free course, topvelocity.net/100 miles per hour, 100 mph. Gotta practice torsion. Yes, sir, Nelson. We got anything on YouTube?
No.
How to get lower during the stride. What stretches? Trying to learn the splits and to do the hip flexor stretch in a lunge position. Yeah. Do a lot of long lunging. Don't do the short lunging. We call power lunges. Really get out there. Also, too, lay on your back. Spread your legs. Get used to stretching those adductors. You can also do lateral lunges as well. You could even squat. You could do sumo work. Sumo like deadlifts will hit into all that. Of course, stretch those positions, load those positions. That's everything we do with the 3X program. Chin up relates to velo or any other body weight exercises. Chin up. I mean, chin ups are going to help because the lateral work hits. Not the lateral works. The overhead pulls are going to hit the lats. The lats are internal rotators and external rotators. So when your arm is being stretched back, a lot of the stability is in your lat. When it's being decelerated forward, a lot of the stability is in your lat. So it will support the upper body strength. That helps with the ball speed. Fernando Rios, that was a great explanation of arm path. Thanks, man. What is a good drill with weighted balls and what weight ball? So to be honest, if we use a weighted ball, it's a two-handed med ball. So I'll get it right here. So this is where you would use a two-handed med ball, and you could go through the same arm path, okay, that we were showing. Keeping the arm on this side is what we do with our med ball drills. The reason you want a med ball is because it makes you do two hands. When you have two hands, you can't early trunk rotate, which what we talked about is where all the arm problems come from. And if you have added weight, it would make it even worse. So you can go through the arm path with the two-handed ball, and it'll prevent early trunk rotating. This is the only way we recommend it. Does back strength play a big role in velocity? Of course. If you don't have back strength to load your upper body, to decelerate your upper body, the upper back helps you keep good posture. The back is a big part of it all. That's why you got to strengthen everything. I'm considering purchasing your program to work with my son through it. But would it be too much because my son is on the MP program at his high school? Yes, it's pretty intense. I wouldn't recommend it with any other high volume throwing program. Our goal is to get you out of all of the high volume, high stress, high volume throwing, and get you into more drill-based, low stress throwing, more time with the med balls, and more time in the weight room. That's our key, and that's really what the program's going to do. So ideally, that's what I wouldn't recommend anything else on top of that, because then I'd be concerned about the volume. Pendular, travel, or start. I don't know what that means exactly. How does your program, 3X Camp, compare to Driveline or Baseball Ranch? I don't know. I've never been there. You been there?
No.
You heard anything about those?
I'd say a lot of those. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't been there, so I can only assume. But from what I've seen, Baseball Ranch is focused on, I think, a lot of fly work, some long toss, a lot of upper body work, and Drivelines. I would say like deadlifting, squatting, trap bar deadlifts, maybe pull downs, plyo work as well. But I've never been there, so I could only assume from what I've seen.
Our approach is into a lot of biomechanics, so we're going to teach you in depth the biomechanical awareness and understanding of elite pitching based on all the data and science I've collected over 20-something years at this point. We're advanced into an Olympic-style strength and conditioning approach. We believe good, great athletes, elite athletes, can create elite biomechanics in pitching. It's hard to create these biomechanics if you aren't a good athlete. We also have it programmed out all season, preseason, and in-season, which I don't believe anybody really does this much programming for pitching. Yeah, I have yet to see that anyone program as much as we do. How would one of your camps be? How much would one of your camps be? So our camp is a one-time fee, which gives you access to the training program, or the training facilities, which this is second year here.
Yeah, so
you just paid for the camp, right?
Yeah, so I paid for the camp last year, stayed for a month, and now I'm back. But it's a one-time fee, so you just have to find housing, and you can come in whenever you want.
And you can come back 10 years straight.
Yeah.
Make a career out of it.
Topvelocity.org
Topvelocity.org has all the information. How do you use your leg more? Please answer. So you use your legs more is you learn how to flex and tighten, create torsion, to create extension and unload of torsion. You have to learn how to do that. It's pretty complex. So it's not something simple I could break down. I mean, I could go through like the arm path, for example. Out of your leg lift, you're going to sit in hip flexion as you counter-rotate your hips. You're going to hold torsion in your femur as you build momentum in a lateral movement. Okay? Then, just before you land, you're going to open your front foot, which is going to start rotation. The moment that happens, we have to push and extend the back foot. That'll accelerate rotation. Then we're going to hit the front foot at that moment. The front foot is going to load into torsion to create stability. Our trunk's going to push forward if we separate it well, and then our leg can extend back in almost internal rotation to accelerate the trunk speed. So if you really want to learn how to do that, how to train that, that's what our program does. You can also get the three free videos on how do we do this more in depth and some simple drills up front. And you go to topvelocity.net/100mph, 100 miles per hour. Hey, I got Spanish over here.
Los lanzamientos con balón de fútbol americano me pueden ayudar a mejorar la pronación al momento de funcionar el brazo.
So he's asking if the football is good for pronation, which it is, right?
Yeah, the football helps. So with the footballs, the thing is, like, we don't need to sit there and throw the footballs hard. The football's a good tool just to teach the forearm movement. So the footballs, you should be doing it light, just nice and light, just feeling the forearm movements that you have to create to spiral the ball. So I don't even like you to turn your shoulders because you can kind of push. Keep your shoulders square, lay it back, nice and easy, turn it over. Nice and easy, turn it over. Try to get the nose spiraling down, throwing it to a low position to your partner. So you can get that good pronation that we need as pitchers. So nice, easy, supinate, pronate.
Yo creo que tú tienes que enfocarte en tirar la pelota como un fútbol y no como como un béisbol. Tienes que enfocarte en la rotación de la pelota.
And Fernando Rios, yes, no weighted balls. We may use them way later on when you get good mechanics, just for some specific biomechanical purposes, but that'd be about it. Any one of you have played college ball? Yes, I played college ball. I played European professional baseball, and I played independent minor league baseball in the States. He's in college.
I was at a small Division One.
Any one of you have? Okay, we do that. $2,500, the one-time fee, or is it just for the 3-day camp? No, that's a one-time fee. So the $24.97 gets you all the programming, the evaluations, the 2-day camp, and all the training here as needed. You got any questions on YouTube over there?
None.
All right, that one went pretty quick. Usually the questions still coming in. I kind of snuck it in on them. Any last questions, guys, before we go through? We're in our hot summers here. We don't have camp this weekend, thank God. I took camp off the weekend so I wouldn't lose my mind. We come back next weekend for camp. We got a full camp. Got a lot of guys training. How many guys do you think total have been training that are training here right now? Not just in here, but that are here. What are we going to
I'd say probably close to 40.
Is that what you read like that now?
Just in this room, we got 16. We probably got another 4 or 5 in there, and then we had different sessions. We had a lot of guys here early this morning.
Our guys come in at 7 in the morning.
They're probably 40, right?
Yeah, some guys, around 40 more or less. Some guys come later at night because
We got 2 baseball teams in here.
Yeah.
We could literally start a league.
we were talking about that actually.
We could start a league here. Tips to improve outfield arm speed. So we have a position player program called the 2X Velocity Program, topvelocity.net. Look at the 2X Velocity Program. The position players are very similar. The difference is, like with pitching, you're trying to maximize power out of the leg lift. So big emphasis on the only leg that's on the ground the whole stride, which is the back leg. Big emphasis to load and accelerate to create all that energy and power. When we come into the positions, a lot of the position players they can move to the ball. So they can get that energy in their body already. So they just learn what we call 2X, where you're not trying to triple extend, ankle, knee, and hip flexor. You're more focused just on your ankle and your hip. Ankle, hip, right? More rotation because I already have momentum in my body. I'm just gonna get the hip open, shoulders closed, and the exact same trunk and arm path of a pitcher. So when you come into our 2X programs, you're going to be doing the same thing the pitchers do with the med ball drills to learn the biomechanics, all the lifting to enhance your athleticism, to do them better and more explosively. And I mean, you're almost like a pitcher, except you're not as big and dynamic on your back leg. Unless you're like a third baseman, making a backhanded play behind the bag and has to plant, drive, and throw across the diamond. You're going to be throwing a lot like a pitcher at that point. Most of the time, though, we're just going to emphasize ankle to knee extension to open your hips and hit good hip to shoulder separation, just like a pitcher.
A lot of times you'll see you'll go crow hopping and you'll throw 95 on a crow hop, but you're sitting high 80s on the mountain. That's because all the energy that you're getting from crow hopping, you're getting hip to shoulder separation. So if you were to move how you were on a crow hop on the mound, you would throw it the same as you would on a crow hop.
And those guys have a hard time getting on the mound in this position and getting the same energy out of their back leg that they got when they were running and crow hopping and throwing. So they have to learn, how do I do that with just this leg in one stride? And it's not easy, right?
Yeah, it's not easy at all.
Unless you got Spinoza's leg power,
Yeah.
huh? He keeps texting me. He's working. Housing nearby. Yes, we got housing nearby. I'm booked for July, not August. I don't know if Steven, are you in Stevens?
No, I'm at Kim's. I think there's 2 beds available at Kim's. You would have
Okay.
to contact her.
Kim has 2 beds available. And Stevens is pretty full, huh?
Yeah, Stevens is always.
You go over there? Go
Yeah.
hang out? Got a lot of video gaming going on over there?
Yeah, too many. I had to leave.
It's been stupid over there?
A lot of movies and video games. I'm not too into that.
A lot of ice cream eating?
Yeah.
Are you in that house?
Nah.
What house are you in?
Kim.
Kim's? How's y'all been all right?
Pretty chill.
Joe's keeping y'all straight though, isn't he? Y'all got Bible study at night? Not yet?
Nah,
That's
not yet.
you know that's coming.
It's coming, but it hasn't happened yet.
You know that's coming. How heavy are the balls, Nelson?
How heavy are the balls?
Yeah.
2 pounds.
How many times do we get that question?
290.
2 pounds. 2 lb. Yeah, 2 pounds. Brad Weber said. What's up, Brad?
What's up,
Did you ever
Brad?
meet? You met Brad, right?
Yeah, we text all the time. I was supposed to go to his school down in Maryland.
Yeah, you need to. Gus's school.
Yeah.
You talked to Gus when he was here, right? Shout out to Gus over
This
there.
is the college plug.
He is.
Nicest guy I've ever met.
He is. He's the beast. You gonna go to Brad Weber school?
No, I'm gonna go to.
You're talking to somebody. over
Yeah, to NEIA if I'm not
there.
mistaken.
Yeah. You're gonna go where?
So I was going to go to that school, but out of 45 credits, they only took 10. So,
What are they? A nerd
took-
school?
so I took the year off, and I think I might go D2 or D3.
Okay. Let's see. It says, where's the facility located? We're just outside of New Orleans, so you can fly into New Orleans. It's about a 45 minutes to an hour drive up here, and you're in God's country up here, or also known as the swamp. After a 2-day camp, how would coaching continue if you come from out of state? So typically, you can get a hotel or you can live in the housing here, and you can train with us. If you're leaving, you have the programming, which gives you calendars, stuff you're doing every day. You have the reevaluation system where you're reevaluating yourself. You know the goals that we have set in the program. You're working towards the goals. And if you're stuck on anything, you can reach out to me. Everybody has my cell phone. Everybody has my email. Everybody has my DMs. And we'll do our best to get back to you, which we do. Is there any mechanical reason why my front foot braces too late or after release? So when you hit front foot strike, studies show you have about 0.1, 0.2 seconds to release the pitch. So that means you have to catch, which studies have shown about 250% of your body weight on one leg. Then you have to, after catching it and stopping it, you have to extend back into it in 0.1, 0.2 seconds. So you're looking at a very powerful movement. So if you don't have a good vertical jump, 30 plus inches, it's going to be very hard for you to catch 250% of your body weight and drive back into it in 0.1, 0.2 seconds. All right?
Yeah.
I mean, tell them how hard that is to do.
It's extremely hard, but that's what these med balls are good for.
And also, the Olympic lifts are good to give you a vert that would give you the power to do that quickly, right?
To drive out of the King of the Hill.
Right.
I got a question here from Andre Martinez. I recently tore my labrum, and I now just got cleared for throwing last month. When do you think is a good time to start throwing max speed?
So they're giving you a throwing program out of your physical therapy, and that throwing program is going to be a ramping up program, giving you stress over time, more stress over time. So I would never go to max effort until they've cleared you, until they say, all right, you've gone through the throwing program, you can now let it air out or throw as hard as you want. At that point, then you'll be in that position. I would recommend, before you even get to that position, to do something extra. Get into some type of program like us that gives you the lifting that you need to rebuild your legs, your core, your back. Because a lot of the PT, they're just doing your arm stuff. They're not rebuilding your legs. They're not rebuilding your core. They're not teaching the biomechanics to fix what caused the problem in the first place. So before you even air it out, I would say get in the weight room, get the legs stronger or more strong, get the core stronger or more strong, get the upper body stronger or more strong, and then get the biomechanics cleaned up that was causing the cause the tear in the first place. Then you can start going back at it again. And that's typically why guys who have, say, Tommy John surgery or UCL injuries come back throwing harder, because they're common surgeries that a lot of guys are having. And most guys don't start taking an off season and training like this until after the injury. I mean, 18 years old, from a rotator cuff. That's technically what I did too. So I understand that's where baseball fails us. But don't let that happen to you if you haven't had a serious injury. Find the off season. ASMI says if we throw more than 8 months out of the year, 5 times more likely to have an injury. Find that 4-month off and devote it to lifting and improving biomechanics like we do here in Top Velocity. And watch how it changes your career. You know, you're going to stay healthier. Therefore, you're gonna be able to play this game longer. You're also gonna have a chance of enhancing your performance, which you need better chance at the next level. I don't think people understand that, take the initiative and do that, and they come in here, how dramatic it is having on their career. Because they could have been that guy who didn't do that, blew out at 19 years old, and then their career was over. And they're now here at Top V at 19, 20 years old, getting better, going back to school, playing all the way through their college career, and having a good senior year, or maybe going off to playing some professional baseball. Like, I don't think people don't understand how significant that is and how much that can change somebody's life for the better just by listening to the science and building the body the way it needs to be built to be a good elite throwing athlete. Is there any mechanical reasons why my front foot? Okay, we saw that.
I got one here.
Brad Weber said Francis. Okay, go ahead.
Irvin Rosendo Ruiz Valdez. My fastball is increasing below, but my off-speed, like my curveball, is pretty slow. Usually miss high and away. How can I fix that? I see that's his trunk.
So yeah, it sounds like if you're missing your breaking ball high and away, that means you're dragging your arm and you're releasing that ball back. So here, hip to shoulder separation, which means opening your hips with your shoulders closed. That not only allows your arm to stay healthier and allows your upper body to throw harder, gives your body more time, or your arm more time to get in the right positions to throw breaking balls. Chris Medlin came through here, had a lot of success in the big leagues, but kept having 2 Tommy Johns in a row and kept having arm surgery. And he was throwing this kind of like slider. And then when we got him separating better, all of a sudden he started throwing his curveballs again that he had when he was a rookie, but he hadn't thrown because his mechanics had changed so much. So you probably are not separating well, giving you time to really get into your breaking pitches. So you need to work on hip to shoulder separation. And more than likely, because you're such an early trunk rotator and you're dragging your breaking balls are flying away, that's why they're slower too, because you're pulling so early. You can get away with it with a fastball sometimes, but you're not going to get away with it with a curveball. Could you imagine early trunk rotating with a curveball?
With every batter.
Right.
A lot of coaches will tell you to bend your back, and the reality is you can't throw strikes. You're either pulling or your trunk, you're landing standing up. So if you fix both of those things and get some good shoulder separation, you spot up.
My front hip gets sore every time I pitch. Would this be a mobility issue or a mechanical issue? You're getting a lot of force in your front leg, which is normal, which is good, but there's no rotation there. If there's rotation there, it reduces that stress. If not, it just pounds that front leg. So you're having a hard time rotating your hips, which could mean your hips are very tight, so that is a mobility issue. It also could mean you don't have good hip to shoulder separation. You don't know how to time the hip opening to the shoulders closing. So there's probably a biomechanical issue and there's a mobility issue there. What do you guys do for weighted balls? What do you guys do for weighted balls?
That's Matt.
Is that Matt again? No, it's not. Oh, Matt in here? God, they're just loving screwing with it.
You know, when I got
He's in the kitchen right now.
when I got the massage yesterday, she said I had tight hips and asked me if I get lockjaw. When I asked her I was getting lockjaw, she said that's connected. Tight hips to.
Well, lockjaw comes from your scalenes pulling down. So all this is pulling down probably because all your hips are tight. Yeah, I mean, it all has a connection, right? Okay, Matt, good question. How soon can one start med ball throws after TJ surgery? Once again, you go through rehab with your physical therapist. You go through your ramping throwing program, and you let them clear you on when you can start throwing. Then you would come in and you'd start learning this method, or you'd get on the line, you'd start learning the method and slowly building up after going through your physical therapist and being released. That would be the way. How would you correct the problem of jumping towards the plate versus driving down the mound? Do you ever pay attention to drag mark? Yes, in our program we talk about the 3X drag. A good drag of your back foot is a straight line. A bad drag is a swooping line. That means your hips are late. My hips are quick, not early. My hips are explosive and they open, my foot goes, my drag. But if my hips are late, then it sweeps around. So that's a good way to understand where your hips are at front foot. We want them open. And jumping is also too, If you're driving early, then you're jumping. If you're waiting and loading forward and down at the same rate and driving just before you land, then you're going to be driving at the right time. I've been increasing velo with your free stuff. That's great, man. Thanks a lot. But my off speed, especially my curveball and slider, are pretty slow. Usually miss high. Oh, that was the one.
Oh, yeah.
That was why. You're probably early trunk rotating. Where's your facility located? Covering, Louisiana. Rubber's getting in there helping us out. I'm a catcher, but I'm sitting 88 to 89 off the mound with bad mechanics. What do you think I should do? I think you should learn good mechanics. I think you should get even more explosive. I like converting catchers to pitchers. We have a pop time program because we understand catchers. The catchers sit on their legs. They have powerful legs, as that's what makes you a good catcher. Being able to throw guys out. You have the highest correlation to throwing guys out from a catcher is your ability to pop up and how explosive you can pop up. So if you have the ability to pop up really explosively, you have good legs. You get on a mound, and if you can sit and load and drive, you're not just those catchers who get on a mound that just cock and throw, then you're going to throw pretty hard. So basically what you need to do, like you said, you need to learn how to tap into your legs. You can continue to learn even to get more explosive with your legs. Is housing nearby for a 17-year-old to walk to from the facility? Unfortunately, you can't walk, but we have enough guys in the house. Like in your house, how many guys have a car?
2 guys have a car. Every house has at least 2 cars, so you should be fine. And if you come here super early and no one has a car, I'm sure Gary will pick you up. Or
we got Ubers and we got Lyfts, so you won't be stuck. All right. Any questions on YouTube? That was it?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, that was pretty good. How long was that? Any last words? Give them a bit of advice since you've been here for 2 years.
Just grind it out. Nothing comes easy. And don't tell yourself you won't get this in 1 or 2 months. Just let it happen. And a lot of times you may see results after because your body's so tired while you're here. You're working so hard. You might see results in season opposed to seeing results here. You're exhausted.
So a guy says, do you believe in short arm path or loose arm path? So it's really learning how your arm works with your trunk to deliver energy. The trunk is the biggest predictor of velocity in studies. It's not the arm path. So the arm has to learn to work with the trunk to transfer energy. So you need to learn, doesn't matter what you're doing with your arm, long to loose or whatever it is, it's how well is it working with the trunk to deliver the energy. Thanks. I wish I could work with you guys. Hey, we'd love to have you down. If not, check it out online. Peyton says, "What's up, baby?" They leave, and you think they would be like, "I don't need no more top V for the day." They're like, "No, I'm still top V."
Obsessed with it. For the trunk, apart from the on-the-knee medicine ball drills, what other drills do you think would be beneficial for it?
For the trunk? Well, all the studies show med ball work is the best for the trunk. So there was a study that showed if you accelerate your trunk speeds with the med ball, it will accelerate your trunk speeds with the baseball. So there's a direct correlation to throwing med balls and throwing baseballs and how it helps the trunk. Everything else is, you've got to make this trunk strong. What makes it strong is the core. So we need good core stability. We need good upper back stability to hold the trunk upright, to create good posture. We need good hip mobility to allow the trunk to have more range of motion to move. So it's just enhancing the kinetic chain around it and then training the more explosive trunk movements using med balls with that resistance. Peyton says, "Oh, Francis, dude, I can't get enough of top V."
You guys need to get off of this. This is bored.
Francis is going to start a AA program for top V. Disconnect. Top V disconnect. That's what we're going to call it. What's up, Brent? I've noticed a huge velocity gain in mechanics sync since I've been doing the med ball throws and workouts. That's great news, Clark. That's exciting, man. Keep it up and get the lifts going. Is that a dolphin out there? Look at a dolphin out there. Can you give me some advice on how to throw a slider? Grip, grind, and arm action. Actually, search top velocity slider on YouTube. David Ardsma. I think I put up his video and he broke it down. Listen to him breaking it down. It's pretty good. David Ardsma, top velocity slider.
I throw my slider.
Or top velocity slider.
This is how I throw my slider right here.
Any breaking ball, you're going to try to get on the side of the ball. You're going to try to get over it at release. You know, I think Ardsma says to go straight over the top of the ball, and then you'll see some guys kind of go over the top of the side of the ball. You don't want to get under the ball, get around the ball. You're trying to go keep pressure on top or slightly off to the side as you finish your pitch, and then you get all that side spin like that.
Yeah, he has a lot of videos.
Yeah, he has like 14 videos on that. Didn't you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But did you watch them?
No, I didn't.
They're pretty good. I know it's a lot. It's pretty good.
If you increase your fastball and everything else is going to be effective. So.
Yeah. All right. One more. My pitching coach say I should not pass my hip. What does that mean? Should not pass my hip? Pass my hip.
I have no idea. Maybe not with the shoulder separation. Maybe.
What do you mean by pass my hip, Chris? Dude, nobody on Periscope. People logging in, but nobody asking questions. Come on, Periscope. Y'all got questions?
Let me see. YouTube. Andre Martinez. Do you think it's okay to throw with the sore or fatigued legs from lifting, or should I wait at least a day?
Yeah, I don't want you to be fatigued throwing. I think if you've done a PAP routine and your legs are up and fired up, yeah, but I don't want you to be fatigued in your legs, because then your arm's going to want to overcompensate. So that's why we don't lift before we pitch. We definitely take that day off or 2 days off before. So try to avoid having fatigue in your legs, your upper body. Studies show in your arm, if you have fatigue, you're 36 times more likely to have injury. So let's try to avoid being fatigued. We need to be recovered going into games to avoid injury. That was it?
Yeah. You'll see a lot of guys not keep torsion and get out with their arms since they didn't keep torsion. Like Roberto, when he was throwing 81, 83 yesterday, he wasn't keeping torsion. He was collapsing and he was going with his arm. But when he was throwing
88, you could see it.
86, 87, 88, he was keeping torsion and his arm was coming great.
So what causes, well, here's an accuracy drill. So our approach is trying to get, it's a linear approach with a rotational complement, first coined by Adam Garcia, which is a good way to put it. If the trunk goes forward at release, then a better chance we're going to be precise on where we're going or accurate where we're going. Also, too, accuracy is just consistency. If you can be consistent with that same release point every time, it's a better chance you're going to be able to find a location you want to get to. Also, too, you need to focus in, have a mental mindset of where you want to be and what you want to achieve at the plate with all your pitches. There's a great coach that we refer everybody to, Daryl Coulter. Look him up. He has a whole approach on mental mindset. I've worked with a lot of his guys. We've had a lot of success with his guys. And he's a great mental mindset coach if you really need that. What causes dead arm? Dead arm is typically just fatigue, arm fatigue, like just continued fatigue, and the arm is having a hard time recovering. So you just need too much volume throwing, obviously too much arm throwing. You need to try to get your legs, your kinetic chain helping. How much knee bend should I have going down the mound? We call it the sweet spot. It's like a vertical jump. How much do I drop my butt before I go up to maximize my jump? You're going to find that perfect spot to where if you went any lower, it would slow you down. We call that the sweet spot. That's called torsion. How fast should a 13-year-old be pitching? Don't worry about speed at 13. Just worry about, are you building the foundation of a high-velocity pitcher? Are you, in the next 3-4 years, going to be in a position where you have the foundation of a high-velocity pitcher? That's what you need to be working on. The biomechanical foundation, the anatomical foundation, the athletic foundation. That's what we need to be preparing and working for at 13. How personalized is the training once the 2-day camp is over and you continue working at the facility? Well, it's calendared out of, like, you're in a 3-count system. You're doing your throwing drills, You're lifting, strength conditioning, anaerobic conditioning. So it's telling you set, rep, amount, percentage of load, and if it's something after the camp that we feel like you need more of, which typically a lot of guys in the same boat, they just haven't ever trained at this level, so they need everything. We'll give you any specifics in camp. That's what it's for. Never mind, but how did you get your arm cock position? My arm cock position, I'm the one I was teaching you about, comes from science. There's studies that were looking at the common positions of healthy high velocity pitchers. What do you think is a better way to finish a pitch? Like Max almost said it. Trunk down, or Ventura used to have like a leg kick at the end. Better way to finish it. What do you think is a better way to finish a pitch? The best way to finish a pitch is trunk forward, slight rotation at release, and ideally, if you have a good forward trunk tilt, you'll have a leg, your back leg, popping up to decelerate your trunk. I think the key thing on a finish is a good forward trunk, a good stable, even extended front leg, a good internal rotated release point. I think that would be the key, and a low center of mass. How to play a fastball? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. How long have we been doing this?
For a while now. I'd say about an hour.
Okay.
The first question was about an hour ago on YouTube.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty good, guys. We'll give you last questions. Last questions here. Any last questions? All right. Like I said, keep following us here. If you want to learn more about the Top Velocity program, you go to topvelocity.net/100mph, 100 miles per hour, and you can get our free course on how the foundation of 3X pitching, foundation of our mechanical systems. Have a good day, Brent. Thanks for all the help. No problem, Clark. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.